Welcome to today's webinar on Conquering the Last Mile. I'm Mike Kapp from POSDATA, and I'll be getting us started today. All of the microphones should be muted now, and that is in order to cut out the background noise. If you have any questions, just send us your questions through chat. Chat is the little bubble icon at the top right-hand corner. We'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. This webinar should last about half an hour until we get to the questions, so that does give us plenty of time. Let me just go through the agenda. Again, my name is Mike Kapp, and I'm from POSDATA. We're going to do a really brief introduction to POSDATA and WorkWave. And then James will take us through the benefits of route automation and the problems that route automation will solve. And then we'll do a demonstration and then the questions. Next slide. Okay, just a brief introduction on POSDATA. POSDATA has been in business since 1973, so we've been around a very long time. We're a national value-add integrator of mobility, barcoding, and RFID solutions. And our focus over the last several years have been on manufacturing, distribution, and logistics companies. Our talented professionals deliver solutions leveraging partnerships with software providers and leading hardware manufacturers like Honeywell and Zebra Technologies, Panasonic. And WorkWave is one of those software providers that we partner with, and we partner with them for route management and delivery solutions. Next slide is the WorkWave introduction, and I'm going to turn it over to James DeStasio from WorkWave for that. James?
Thanks a lot, Mike. So I'm James DeStasio. I'm a global channel sales engineer here at WorkWave. I've been with WorkWave for about a decade now, and yeah, it's been great working with them. WorkWave has been around. We are part of our larger company called IFS. It's been around for about 45 years. At WorkWave, we've actually been around for 40 years on our own as a unique division of IFS. We have a wide variety of different field service and logistics softwares, including PestPack. But today, primarily, we provide all these different software solutions with customers globally. Now, something I want to mention about WorkWave specifically is that we have a 99% customer retention rate, with most of our software being subscription-based. This is very important, so meaning that most customers that join on with us stick around with us. Our net promoter score from our customer reviews is 73, very high. We have over 10,000 customers globally that's 10,000 businesses using us globally. In general, to get Route Manager started, it takes about a single day of usage, basic training, easy to get up and running. Now, with more complex scenarios, obviously more details can be put in, but for route optimization, you can certainly start using that on day one. And on average, our customers receive about a 30% return on investment. Now, I'll talk a little bit now about that's a little bit about WorkWave, and you might be wondering about what that 30% investment means. And this kind of comes around with some of these stats about why you would get a route optimization tool for your business. Now, there's a wide variety of constraints, problems that come up, customer retention, things like that. But on average, a route optimization software, not even just WorkWave, but any route optimization tool will give you about a 30% immediate savings. And this is just from the office and the road. This comes from reduced fuel consumption, more stops can be done in the day, same work hours with fewer resources, meaning fewer technicians, fewer field service techs, fewer delivery drivers, less drivers, but you can get more business done. Therefore, increasing revenue, reducing costs. Again, 30% return on investment over the turn of it. Now, the last statistic we have here on this little bubble here is, in comparison, Gartner did a review, and we have about, in comparison with direct competitors of ours, we're about 30% more effective in scheduling. And I'll talk about some of the points that make us a little bit differentiated from other route optimization tools out there. Now, you might be wondering as well, what benefits are route optimization going to do for my company? Now, there's kind of different places that you're going to see benefits by using a route optimization tool. First place is going to be your team. You're going to be able to schedule and dispatch faster right from the office. You're going to be able to track them, see if they be able to work from anywhere, as well as to have them work from anywhere and still be able to track what they're doing. Really gives you the full workforce optimization. Now, your customers are going to be able to not really have to see the ins and outs of your operation. They're not going to deal with paperwork, forms, anything like that. Everything can be done easily on electronically, especially in this environment. That can be very, very important. We also allow for next level service, such as through customer notifications, verification via barcode scanning, wide customer sign-off, signatures, notes capture, as well as when we do optimizations, we take into account customer restrictions and constraints. All those will be matched by using our tools. And then obviously your business is going to be able to increase the workforce capacity, be able to handle more jobs with the same amount of workforce or even less workforce. You'll be able to fulfill more orders in a shorter period of time. You'll be able to earn more revenue based on lower costs overall from fuel consumption, faster things getting done, be able to help out more customers in a shorter period of time. And you're going to be able to show your customers that they can count on you. Therefore, they're going to spread the word and get more people coming in your door to get your services provided for them. Now, this is a little bit about how Route Manager works and how it might be able to fit into your current suite of softwares, or if you don't have any real softwares currently, how you can even just use Route Manager to help your business in general. So starting on the top left-hand side of this little chart here, basically to get set up within WorkWave, we're going to help you do this, but you'll create your depot or depots where your vehicles start and end from, your distribution centers, etc. You're going to be able to add your vehicles in with their constraints, such as what hours they're allowed to work in, what their load capacities are, or what the costs of operating them are, wide variety of different constraints. You then would go ahead and, once those are kind of your static or your permanent items are set up, you go ahead and import your orders into the software. And that's done via Excel or CSV file, or most people will do that via API. So we have what's called an Open REST API, which can integrate into any real software system that you currently have in place, as well as we can go ahead and integrate it with there. Again, if you don't have anything in place now, you can go ahead and import them in via Excel or CSV. Those orders are your stops for the day. Those are going to tell the customers' names, phone numbers, email addresses, any capacities, constraints, really any information that's going to be important to the routing process, such as we're only allowed to arrive between these hours. We can only arrive on this day or this day. We can, they require a technician or driver of this skill set, or that speaks this particular language, or has this type of equipment on their vehicle. So really, depending on what you need, you'll go ahead and plug that in for that customer. Once that's done, you have both what your vehicles can do and what orders you have available. With a single click, we're going to find the fastest, most cost-efficient way to get everything done without breaking any of the constraints that you set, either up on the vehicles or on the orders themselves. Once you've built a route, you can manually make some changes if you want to. We'll let you know if you're breaking any constraints that you have. You'll then be able to dispatch it out to your mobile apps, which your drivers will then receive updates. These are available on Android, so on Honeywell and Zebra devices, for example, as well as they'll be able to receive the updates on the mobile app. It'll also start tracking where the drivers are. So now that you've planned these routes, it's all about making sure that the drivers are following those routes, as well as if any changes, problems pop up in the middle of the day, you can make the most optimal choices as well. So for example, when the drivers arrive on site, they'll be able to use the barcode scanning. You'll get live updated ETAs, as well as your customers will on when the driver's arriving, when they're getting close by, if there was a failure of executing it, such as the door was locked, no one was home, and they needed a signature. The driver will also be able to capture customer signatures. It'll mark their time of arrival and departure for each stop, as well as be able to capture barcode scan, a wide variety of other features. If things do change, let's say a driver blows out a tire, or you get new calls that come in for new deliveries or emergencies that pop up and you need to reroute your drivers elsewhere, you can do that in the middle of the day, and it'll reroute everything for the rest of the driver's day for where they are and how to fulfill the rest of their day correctly. You'll be able to make those changes happen, and if the driver makes any changes, you'll be able to track those as well. At the end of the day, you'll be able to review and analyze the performance of what the driver did versus what you had planned for, to be able to see to make better changes for tomorrow and for driver accountability reasons as well. So that's just a quick summary of how the software works. What we'll go ahead and do now is I'm going to hop into the software itself. But what we're going to be covering in the demonstration today is we'll talk a little bit about route optimization, GPS tracking, customer notifications, some of the real-time ETAs that are part of those notifications. We'll talk about the proofs of service and deliveries, barcode scanning, which all kind of come from the mobile app, and we'll talk about some of the analytics that you can get at the end of the day. So right now I'm going to go ahead and hop into the software. Just give me a moment. Right. So what you see in front of you now is WorkWave Route Manager. I'll give you a quick orientation on where items are before we kind of get into the optimization process. So starting on the left-hand side, this is my toolbar. There's main 3 areas within Route Manager that you can see here. So on the left-hand side, we have our toolbar, which is going to show what date it is that you're planning for. We do have what's called a 30-day planning horizon, which allows you to plan for 30 days at a single time, or anything less than that. So right now I'm only planning for today's date, but if I wanted to plan for the whole month and had all my orders to be scheduled for that point, I can certainly do that. We also do store all your past data in here, so if you'd ever needed to review anything, review proofs of service in the past, barcodes, things like that, you can certainly do that. From this area as well, you can add orders, import them in via Excel or CSV. We have 2 types of optimizations, but this is our main optimization button. And then we have our metrics of our plan summary. And then over here we have our map, which is going to give you visualize where everything is for the day. Those 2 little houses that you see on the outskirts here are my 2 depots or warehouses where my drivers can start from. And then I have these white dots, which are all my orders for the day. These are all the customers I have to do deliveries to. Now up above we have our scheduler, which is going to list out visually. It's all blank right now. Why I should have mentioned on the dots down here why they're white is because I haven't actually optimized anything out yet. They're unscheduled. Up top I have my unscheduled scheduler, which is just showing where my vehicles are available, how many stops or violations they have, but since I haven't planned anything out yet, it is blank. We also have our order grid, which is our own internal Excel file, somewhat like of how to quickly modify, search, edit any of the orders that you have in place. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'll talk a little bit about what makes up a vehicle setting and what makes up the order so you can understand some of the constraints that we can put into place, and then we'll run a quick optimization. So I'm going to click on my setup bar here and click on a vehicle to hop into the settings. And within here, we have a wide variety of different settings, such as what hours your vehicles are allowed to work between, what kind of breaks they can take if they need to take breaks, if they're only allowed to work within certain areas. So I'm planning in New York's, greater New York, the tri-state area generally here. And I could say, oh, I need this driver only works in Manhattan. We can certainly set that up. We can set up constraints such as the amount of stops they can take, the amount of miles they're allowed to travel, the amount of drive time they're allowed to take, as well as the amount of hours they're actually allowed to work overall outside of drive time. We can apply load capacities, certain tags or skill sets to the vehicle, increase and decrease how fast this driver drives in comparison to the localized average speed limits, as well as any costs that be associated with running this vehicle, such as hourly costs, cost per stop, or just the cost of operating this vehicle period for the day. So with knowing those constraints that you can set, we also have constraints that you can go ahead and add onto an order. And each order can have its own constraints as well. So I'll just click on one of these random dots here, and I'm going to open it up and click on edit for one of these orders. So within an order, you can go ahead and give it a name, choose which date it can be done on. So in my planning horizon, I can say it for any, on, or by. It needs to be done by a particular date. We can say what kind of loads it's going to take up. I can force it onto particular vehicles, give it a higher priority. Within our route optimization tool, we do have, I mentioned I'm doing deliveries in this scenario, so I'm doing drop-offs. We also do allow for pickups, services, which don't move any items, and then pick up and drop off, which means I'm leaving my facility, picking something up from one location and moving it to another location. So we do allow for all those different scenarios. Here's the address. I can add in phone number and email address for customer notifications. I can set up how long this is going to take, any time windows that are required. I can also add those tags, which are certain skill sets and whatnot that are necessary. It also allows me to add barcodes onto any particular order. Any order can hold up to, currently, by default at least, up to 15 barcodes. If you did need more, we can always accommodate you. We do also allow for up to 21 different custom fields. So any information that you might want on your order that is not tracked internally within our system here, you'll be able to add that, track that, have your drivers review that, and even search through our software for it. So now that you generally understand the principles behind setting the constraints behind a vehicle and setting the constraints behind an order, what I'm going to do is now run an optimization. Now, before I click our big build plan optimize route, keep in mind that our software is how it optimizes, it doesn't just do the fastest routes possible, it does the fastest, most cost-efficient way of getting things done. That means that it's going to take into realistic principles of what the costs are of operating, taking left, it's going to value taking right-hand turns on average, because that's a faster way of moving around. It's going to understand where toll booths are, things like that, in order to give you a better, lower cost average of moving through things. Other softwares might run an optimization and say, give you the fastest routes, but when you execute them, you might find that the plan was about 30% faster than what you had planned for. Some of the core of Route Manager's optimization algorithm is that it is very realistic into what it plans for versus what you can execute. And that's very important to kind of creating a plan here. So you can see with my about 100 orders that I had here, it quickly figured out the fastest, most cost-efficient way of getting everything done, including within my constraints. Now, you can see that it filled up my board here. Different stops had different times that they would take to get done, as well as I can see all these things done here. Now, if I did want to, I can review over here my plan summary and make any manual changes that I need to, but I can see that I have 7 vehicles, all of them are being used for the day, and I had 1 order on here that couldn't be assigned. Now, I can always take a look at it and see where it is, and it looks like it could be there. I can always force fit it on. Now, I know that and just to give an example here, we can see, oh, it would fit very well with this, this vehicle here. But if I review that vehicle's colors, I can see there's no real way I can fit that in unless I send that driver into overtime, for example. And I can go ahead and say, you know what, I'll talk to the driver, hey, do you mind working another hour for the day or another half hour just to get another job done for us? Sure. So then we can go ahead and just reroute for that particular driver. I think I chose the wrong driver, but we'll find out. As you can see, it re-optimized that, and now we have all the orders filled in. So another cool thing that we can do too is once you review and make any changes, let's say I wanted to move a driver to a order to a different driver, I can certainly do that. And I just dragged and dropped it over, but you'll see it created a violation letting me know, hey, you're gonna be going into overtime. And unless I talk to my driver, the software wouldn't do that inherently. So we allow you to make any changes that you want to, but you can go ahead, occasions. So I briefly mentioned on a great way of number 1, updating your customers on live ETAs. So now that we've made the route plan, we have our approved route, which we plan for, which is down below, and then up above is what we're actually executing. So what's going to be the problem? What's great about this is you can see what you plan for versus what's actually happening. And now this is also helpful in updating your customers. Now we do have what's called our customer notification features. And that's going to be a function that allows for, coming in here to our settings area, we have our notifications area. So this is via email or SMS. So for each notification that comes in or comes out, you'll have the ability to give them notifications for service day notifications, which are going to say on the morning of the service, it'll shoot them an email or an SMS notification, letting them know, hey, just as a reminder, and I'll click on here, you can customize these completely, each of these kind of 3 notifications. You can choose what time in the day it's going to go out and remind them. You can have them email them or text message. Here's what the message will look like. And then you can customize the message. Now we have these hot words that you can drag in, so such as the order name, which would be maybe the name of the customer, or whatever you have. But you can also include the driver's name. So you might say, you know, hi, Mr. Smith. We are, Tony, the driver, will be arriving, will be coming to deliver a package today or providing a service for the day. And you can go ahead and review that information. You can also say when it'll give them notifications about this. And so we have also say the ETA. So this says if we have their current ETA on the plan to be around 2 o'clock, you could say with the 1 hour time frame, it'll say, hey, Tony will be there between 2 and 4, for example. So we had that one notification. We also have our status update notifications, which are based around the changing of the status of an order. So an order is marked as completed, canceled, whatnot as well. We also then have the ability to, if it was canceled, rescheduled for another day. All these notifications will go out to the customer, again, via SMS or email. And then we also have what's called the almost there notification, which I think is probably the neatest one of them all, which is as the driver's getting closer, once they're about 15 to 10 minutes out, it will send another notification letting the customer know, hey, we are almost there. And it actually will send them, if you ever hailed an Uber before or used an app where you can actually see where a driver is located, this will actually will happen. And it has a little map and it'll show them exactly where they're coming from. Great. So now I'm going to come back into the main system, and it looks like my mobile app has loaded back up, so I'll be able to show you some other functionality here. And so I'm going to pull up the mobile app, and the emulator's working again. Wonderful. So this is our driver mobile app, and this is a great tool for the drivers to easily get around. It's super user-friendly. What it allows them to do is see what orders, how many orders they have for the day, what depot they're supposed to report to at what time. You can also see it says all their stop orders as well. Now at each stop, it'll allow them to click on it. If they click on this green arrow, it'll give them turn-by-turn directions. It'll allow them to mark their time of arrival and departure. It'll also automatically track those things too, so you can track what they've reported versus what the phone actually detected, or the device actually detected. If they wanted to see more details on the order, they can click right here and drill in. It'll allow them to capture proofs of service or delivery, such as photographs, capture notes. So I'll just kind of give it a couple examples here. So I can do photographs, and I'll just grab a photograph I took the other day, add that in, and they'll go ahead and take in notes, test note. They'll be able to capture signatures. And take voice notes. Also, they will be able to capture barcodes. Now I have one barcode on here, so I can't, the software actually won't allow me to, this driver to clock out of this order or mark it as completed until they do the barcode scan. So I'll go ahead and show you an example here. And now I know I set this up, just so you know in advance, I set this up without having the barcode available in front of me. So I know that this is not the accurate barcode. So I'm just gonna click on, my thumb just clicked on the barcode button there for the scan. I'll let it catch up here. But as you can see, there's a big red X that comes up when I come over. I'm just scanning the ESIB number on the back of a book, for example. Now it's telling me, hey, this is not the right barcode. So the driver would be able to be aware of that. Now, if it was correct, it would turn green and it would scan it. Now, let's just say this is the correct package, but it's not scanning correctly. I can go ahead and click on these 3 triple dots right down here, and I can mark it as unreadable barcode, or let's say the barcode fell off or the package wasn't there. I can mark different reasons why, but I'll just say it's an unreadable barcode. But I know it's the right package. I might have verified it, and I can go ahead and mark it as done. As you can see back in the main system here, it has grayed out this order. I can go ahead and move on to the next stop. But as you notice, I clocked in at 11 a.m. when it actually was supposed to be done much earlier. So you'll see that whole route was actually pushed back. This order was supposed to be done all the way at 6 a.m. and it wasn't done until 11 a.m., which pushes the whole driver into a whole different mode here. Now, we can always re-optimize in the middle of the day. So if any problems like this happen, if I don't want my driver to go into overtime, I can just rebuild the route and it'll just re-optimize their day from that point on. Now, hopefully no driver would ever have that kind of a problem. Maybe that'd be a tire blowout or some mechanical issue with the vehicle, what might hold you up for that many hours. This is more or less that I planned it a lot earlier. So you can see I've replanned the day. I removed 6 orders from that driver's route. Maybe I can fit those in on another vehicle's route as well as the day goes on. But so far, I've covered up the notifications, the GPS tracking, a wide variety of different information as well. Now, we do have, I did see a question that was asked when we were up on the mobile app about how our company's still doing signature capture. Now, I've seen in different states, there's different kind of rules and laws on this, but through different styluses. I've seen a lot of customers I've spoken with have actually mentioned that they actually have their customers not necessarily might not capture signatures anymore, but they might have electronic signature or take a photograph for the, of the customer. They also might have the customer use their own stylus or their own pen or their own item in their own home to scroll across the tablet. Since a lot of this isn't from a lot of the studies have been shown that it not all has to do with touch. I know the virus doesn't spread through touch. We'll see. I'm sure that some of these rules will be changing over time as well, since it's more of a breath-based spread. So, but from what I've seen, some companies are still doing it, but certainly a lot more contactless stuff, such as barcode scanning, is a lot more important for sure. It's a great question. So, other things I've covered so far, the last things I'll kind of cover here today about this is our GPS tracking features. So as you can see below here, we do have the ability to track live GPS tracking. So once the driver is logged into the mobile app, it will track their current location. That is what's actually going to provide the live updated ETAs to the customers, as well as the notification triggers. It is also what's triggering things to move around on the map as I mark in and out of this area. So within that, we can always view up to the last 10 minutes. I can see live where they're located, the last 30 minutes, or up to 3 hours for all my vehicles at the same time. Now, these aren't real vehicles moving around, so I can't really show you that today, but we do allow for that. And then for any driver that you realize is completely not following their route, you can go ahead and click on them and view their whole history. You can even view up to 2 weeks of their history of where they've been driving. Now, it does only track them when the mobile app is turned on and they have not completed all their orders for the day. So if they've completed all their orders for the day, the mobile app will start tracking their GPS location. If they have, if it's 2 days later and they don't have a job going on and they have the mobile app on, they won't track them in their pocket or anything like that, or won't just be tracking it sitting and recharging at your office, for example. So those are just some examples there. Now, what we can do is I'm going to go ahead and bring up our analytics demo. So we have an area that's going to give you, after the route is executed, some analytics. So sorry, I brought this up on a different screen, so I'm just going to bring that in right here as it's loading up. You would go ahead and click on our reports area, and it pulls up our analytics, which we're going to allow you to review all this past information across multiple territories of how many vehicles you ran, the average total miles, orders. This allows you to see what you planned for versus what actually happened, as well as track your driver performance. This is going to give you insights into not just, okay, I made a good route and the route is the best route we could have made, but did my drivers actually follow it, and which drivers are following it, which ones aren't? And if there's problems, can I track it based on the driver? Is it the vehicle's issue? Is there a problem with how it accelerates or brakes that is causing, or how certain things load or unload? Are certain vehicles that might not be the driver, it might be the vehicle and how the gate opens up on it, a wide variety of different things that you can track in metrics based on vehicles versus your driver's performance, and be able to hold the drivers accountable and also make better plans for future days, such as if you see detours pop up, things like that. We have a lot of advanced tools and in order to help you make a better plan for the day. So this kind of gives you a high-level overview of a lot of the features, including the barcode scanning, customer notifications, proofs of delivery and service, the route optimization. Wonderful. So we've gone over today route optimizations, GPS tracking, customer notifications, real-time proof of service, barcode scanning, the mobile app, and analytics. So we've really covered quite a few different features on WorkWave Route Manager. So on behalf of Mike and I, thank you very much, everybody, for joining the webinar. We look forward to hearing from you, and we'll be sending this over to you. And for those who are from home listening to this who couldn't attend, thank you very much for watching through this, and we hope to connect soon. Feel free to either contact Mike or I. Our contact information is here on this last slide here. For any questions that you might have, I can always drill into more details. Certainly things in the software and things we mentioned that we didn't get into details with today, but we'd be happy to approach that with you and provide you a one-on-one demonstration at any point. So, thank you very much.